there's so many things on the website, on the YouTube channel now. So many I can't find anything.
Yeah, they're all in playlists.
Yeah, they're in.
Go
I
to the
think
playlist.
when I say I can't find anything, it's like I don't know how to use my own YouTube channel. That's what I'm really
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, you're on the back side. From the front side, it looks amazing. And from the back
Really?
side, just go to playlist. Yeah, from the front side, it's amazing.
Yeah, from my side of things, I'm like, I was trying to find a video for someone the other day who we were talking about something. Oh, so well, I've got a video for that. And man, I scrolled up and down 385 videos or whatever it is, or I think there's more than that now.
Yeah, there's quite a few. Just holler at me and I'll tell you where it is, or I'll just send it to you.
I know, it's just
Unless it's,
crazy.
but
I
they're
need
all in
to log in
playlists.
on.
So.
I need to log in on somebody else's computer and have a look at the YouTube channel and see how it all looks, because on my side
Yeah. I sent you a screenshot, but brother, just always go to playlist. The top of it, just go to playlist.
all
All
right,
right.
I'll do that. I'm hoping to not have to go to any of it pretty soon.
Or that.
I heard this morning, when I woke up this morning, I heard the door is open. You can leave simply by walking out.
Mm.
I'm not going to give that any meaning that it has for me, but I mean, that's what I heard. It was in my, the door is open. You can leave simply by walking out. And you know what I did? I got up out of bed and I put my hand out to see if I could feel an open door anywhere, like a thing, and just took a step. And I'm like, if the door's open, it's got to be anywhere. So, but in form, in the physical thing. It's funny, isn't it? How I've got to verify everything. There's always got to be this moment of proving it to yourself, or doubt. It's like Jesus had that moment of doubt right up until Gethsemane, like right in the garden. But he would have carried that moment of doubt with him throughout the whole ministry. It didn't just appear in the garden. It was lingering there, waiting for that garden moment to become exposed. And then he caught himself in it. Not my will, but thy will be done. So anywho, now any questions, anything? We've lost Joe. Dust.
The only thing I've got is, like, I don't know if it relates to that as well, but also the lesson you gave me there was, I actually had some guilt because I kind of put all this down a week or two back, because I had this experience where I realized if God made me perfect and there was no sin, and there was this kind of incredible sort of like moment really of whatever, revelation, understanding, clarity. And then after that, I shut away from all this. I haven't been doing anything. I haven't thought about it. I haven't looked at it. I haven't talked to Angela, I just done nothing. I didn't join the group, and it felt I didn't need to. And that sounds so arrogant. I know in my voice now, I just feel my arrogance around it, my judgment.
Right.
And yet at the
Right.
same time,
So ready? Let the arrogance go. The truth is, you don't need it.
yeah.
Ready? Let the arrogance go. You don't need it. You don't need a Course in Miracles to be what you are. You need a Course in Miracles to be of service to salvation. And in that, you are automatically included as well. But to be what you are as God created you, you don't need anything.
That's what came to me.
I don't need a Course in Miracles to be what I am. I am the child of God, as you are. But if I want to be helpful to Jesus, I need to learn this damn course. I've got to be able to apply it to myself so I can teach other people how to apply it to themselves, because this world is not our home.
Oh.
It's not just about me. It's all about me, but it's not just about me. There's a selflessness and it can't be you can't tell yourself you have to be selfless. You've got to kind of feel that you want to be of a greater use, of a greater availability to the whole somehow, and it's like, and that somehow then just shows up in a way that you can understand it for yourself and be part of it. For me, it looks like this. What that looks like for any of you guys, I have no clue. Obviously, in this moment, it looks like this. But what that looks like tomorrow, Barry, that's like if you said, I'm going to put this course down and I'm just going to go out in the world and be about my Father's business, I'd be like, fuck yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
My blessings would be heaped upon you. Like, the last thing I want is people to be sitting here 10 years from now, you know, like listening to what I have to say. I can only give you my certainty that God's a fact. That's it. Now, what do you want to do with that? God's a fact.
That's how it occurred for me. But yeah. Okay.
Follow
I
your
know
heart.
I know the book itself says, you know, you need to put this book down at the end. You know, this isn't
Right.
This isn't it. Ginger Krishnamurti
Right.
said the same thing, and all the great teachers have said that.
Right. The book can only take you to the place where you no longer need the book.
Yeah.
But be honest about whether you think you need it or not. I mean, you know, like imagine one of the disciples through Jesus's 3-year ministry, and they're like, oh, well, I've been following you for 3 months now, Jesus. I think I get it. And off he went. You know, even at the very end of his ministry, Jesus turned to his disciples and goes, you guys haven't got a damn clue. But when the Holy Spirit comes upon you, you'll understand everything. And the moment the Holy Spirit comes upon them, everything Jesus had been telling them suddenly made sense. But if they hadn't been the whole time with Jesus to listen again and again and again to his teachings, he didn't just do the Sermon on the Mount. Imagine the discussions those guys would have had with Jesus every night around the campfire. That would have been the shit. I would love to be like scribe at one of those campfire sessions.
Yeah.
You can bet there was some really good stuff. The fact that we've only got like, you know, the Sermon on the Mount and then other teachings here and there, little things that happen during the day, to me, that's a damn shame, because I'm sure there would have been tons more. I mean, look what with Helen. You know, even in Helen's notes, you read through some of Helen's notes where Jesus is talking specifically to Helen and Bill about themselves in relation to the production of the course primarily, but also in their personal lives, some stuff. It's like, man, that's some good insight. That's some stuff to know. I wish Jesus would come down and just like say to me, Dave, you're doing this and you should stop doing this because there's other things that, you know, be like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That's really helpful. Thank you. But it's like sometimes, Barry, you know, you put the course down and there's no right or wrong about it. Right? Sometimes you put the course down. Ted used to say, we'd have, so try to imagine this picture, right? This is probably a better way to portray it, but we had a healing center in Byron Bay where on a busy day, right? And I'm talking numbers here. On a busy day, there'd be 120 people in the room. There was no chairs left. People would be standing up around the walls at the back. It wasn't a big room, but 120 people filled it up, maybe more sometimes, you know. On a quiet day, maybe 20 people, you know. But usually it was an average of somewhere in the middle. It was like 80 people or 60 people or something. Every day, 6 days a week. But there would always be those guys that would come in and they'd probably do a couple of months, every day, whatever, and then they'd wander off. Then they'd come back like 6 months later. They'd come back and they'd spend another little bit of time, then they'd wander off. The idea of commitment to a specific form, which is what we were offered through the healing center, didn't really register in them in that same way, right? To them, they had another deal going on with the atonement, whatever, and that was fine. Ted used to just allow them to come and go. There was the administration crew at the church who would often confront them and say, look, if you're going to be here, you got to be here all the time because this is a total thing and da-da-da, and lay down the rules. But it's like I used to come and go. I used to take the book and go down to Tilba or around to West Australia and different groups and people and see things and, you know, teach and stuff. And it's like, it's not like the course is something that you can actually put down. Because it's not the book, it's you. It's not the words in the book, it's your view on life.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, congratulations to put it down. Congratulations to actually step out there and see where you're at with it without the support network of having all those lessons.
Yeah.
So be it. If it all falls apart and turns to shit, that's great, because that shows you where you're at with it. Maybe I need more lessons. Maybe I need more discipline. Maybe I need more study. That's fine. That's what it's for. You know, it takes courage to do that. You know how many people I know that like cling to that book religiously? They carry it around with them, put it in their bag, and it's like, man, I can't leave the house without it. You know, live in faith. Leave the house without it. It's only telling you that you have to live in faith. That's all it's saying. The course says, take a leap of faith with me today, and you'll be this day in the kingdom of heaven. The results of faith is realizing that you're supported by a higher power. How much closer to the kingdom of heaven can you get this day than that? Having your own personal recognition that you were supported today by a higher power. It's like, man, today was well spent. That was some cool shit that happened today. I jumped over the hedge and I didn't crash down into the brambly bushes. You know, I had no way of knowing what would happen. I went shopping today and bought a ring in the Great Frog. And then I had this incredible feeling of euphoria, right? Still wearing it, euphoria and wonder after I did that, because I just said yes and followed the instructions without knowing what the hell, why I was even doing it. You know? You're an adventurer, Barry. You're an adventurer. Think of yourself that way. You're a child of God. You're on an incredible adventure in the physical realm, the dream realm, whatever you want to call this. It's not really true, but that doesn't get you out of it. You got to use the adventure. You got to take the adventure. You got to live it and be part of it. Put the book down sometimes. You'll know when you haven't, you'll know when not to pick it up ever again. I haven't used this book for my own reference for at least a decade, maybe more. I haven't had a problem. I haven't had anything that I can't face by the grace of God for more than a decade at least. I still make mistakes. I still make judgments. I still do all that dumb shit that people do. But I do it knowing that the correction is there in place and that God's on the other side of it and is going to catch me when I take that leap of faith to accept the correction. You know? But I'm the same as you. I don't know what tomorrow brings. Tomorrow could bring a whole new aspect of the same universal curriculum, the same lesson. Do I need the book? No. Do I need the book? Maybe. Do I need the book? Definitely. But the book's not this. The book's my view of life.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, know thyself.
Know thyself. You're doing fine. You're doing fine. Trust me, you're fine. You're exactly where you're meant to be doing what you're meant to be doing, learning what you're meant to be learning, the whole thing. The only thing that you can do that's different in that is speeding things up. You know, being willing to not dawdle and not try to avoid the situations that become obvious that need healing. That's not too bad. I won't worry about that. Jesus talks about it in the Course as every little sigh. Right? That's all this is. It's an application of forgiveness. No, I'll let that go. I'll let that go. That's forgiveness. I'm just going to let that go. I'm a child of God. I'm going to let that go. And it's just in that remembering. I'm not going to judge myself for that. I'm not going to judge this person or that person for that. Doesn't mean that you won't judge. Doesn't mean that you won't forget and get caught up in the emotionality of whatever the situation is. Just means that you're willing to see it differently. I'm willing to make better choices. You're an adventurer. It's like Jesus talks about this is the last crusade, you know, and you have to think of yourself as a crusader. You know, the motto of the crusade is to listen, to learn, and to do. How can I listen, learn, and do if I'm not willing to do something different, not willing to step out of my comfort zone and try something else? Otherwise, I'm just going to be falling upon my own familiar associations to get me through the day, and I won't even become aware that I'm doing that. I'll just do it because it's automatic. I'm in sort of like auto mode, you know. One of the greatest places to practice faith and everything, or for me anyway, that I think is to go to a country or a place where they don't speak English and try to navigate your way around. It's like, all right, I need faith here. I'm just going to allow myself to be guided because I can't help myself in this place. I can't ask for directions. I can't, you know, like it's a whole thing. It just makes it difficult, difficult, difficult. Everything's difficult. And it's like, I want it to be miraculous, 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 everything miraculous. That's how it goes. It's good. You're an adventurer, Barry. You know, like if Scott of the Antarctic hadn't put his hand up to go, they were going to call on you next. That was in your last life. It would have been Barry of the Antarctic. And you would have said yes. I know you would have. You would have lost your leg in life too.
Oh yeah, probably.
Except probably a narwhal would have bit it off in the Arctic waters or something instead of cancer or whatever it was you gave yourself this time.
I tell some people it was a crocodile, you know, but yeah.
Right, crocodile. Yeah. My friend has a big skin graft on his leg where he had a bicycle accident and was hit by a car, and they took skin from his bum and they took it in a shape that looks like this, and then like that, like an ellipse but with points at the end. And it's sewn sideways down his leg like this big sort of like slice of lemon sort of shape. And it looks like a shark bite. And everyone's like, what the fuck? Did you get bit by a shark? So now he's nicknamed Shark Biscuit. I thought that was funny. But he nearly lost a leg too. It's a common thing in salvation to lose a leg. It is. Salvation, lose a leg. Cut off this limb and throw it away from you if it offends you, you know. It's always a leg.
I've met many great people who've lost limbs over the years.
Absolutely. It's a planet of loss. It's a world of loss and pain and suffering, and like, you know, loss is guaranteed in the of coming here. You look in the travel agent, loss of limbs guaranteed, loss of something, loss of health. Yep, and you tick all those. Yeah, beauty. That sounds fun. Wonder what that is. Oh, good. All right. What are we doing today then? What should we talk about? God did not create a meaningless world. Francois, everything good with you? I haven't had any extreme expressions of passion from you this week on in my inbox, so I count that as a good thing. Peace returning to the mind, calm and everything. That's good. Good. Being peaceful, you know, like being peaceful and having peace of mind. It's like, truly, what else do you want, Anna? Exactly. What else do you want? Peaceful life. Peaceful life. Just everything. Yep. And the funny thing is, the life around you will still be exactly the same. Pardon me. You just won't react to it. The drama will still be there, bubbling away, and everyone doing everything, and the appearances of things still being the appearances of things. but your life will be a life lived in heaven, in a heavenly state, which is a peaceful mind. You'll be in the world more, but not of it more. And that just kind of grows and grows and grows. And just keep the dunce cap on and you'll be fine. As soon as I think I know something, I'm screwed. Like, it's like, got to hear me say that. So, nah, I'll stay in the corner. Dunce. Look, Tina's has got hers is getting bigger. It's not a do-rag. It's what is it? An African queen. What were we talking about that thing?
All of that.
All
It's a head wrap.
It's a black fig. That's what
It's
it
a
is.
black thing. Represent. Play with me. I'm not for play.
Can you imagine when we get to Iceland? Do they have a Course in Miracles in Iceland? Is there an Icelandic version? What do they speak?
What do they
North?
speak?
Do they speak Norse?
Norwegian?
Do
I
they?
think it's Icelandic. No, I think it's Icelandic.
I'm sure
Icelandic
they-
is
I'm
its
sure
own
that-
language, isn't it?
I think I got some peoples over there. Some course people. I think.
What?
I think so.
In Iceland?
I got peoples everywhere.
Who knows anyone in Iceland?
I'm sure I got some peoples over there.
Iceland's like Mystery Island over here. It's like nobody, when the tourists go, they ship a whole boatload of people, so it looks like it's populated. You know, they put those pop-up stalls up and you buy stuff that you think that the natives have made. That's a true thing. There was no one on the island. We went on a cruise and there was no one there. We went to this deserted island in the middle of the South Pacific, palm trees and blue seas, and it was idyllic and postcard worthy and everything. And as soon as we got there, a flotilla of little boats came across from the big island, like a kilometre away. You could see them coming. And within a minute, like they'd set up all these bamboo thatch huts with all their little things to sell and everything made in China. It was just like fucking ridiculous. It was like,
That's awesome. That's like my
there was
neighborhood.
there was no
That's what happens-
authenticity to it at all.
No, that's what happens in my neighborhood.
Right.
Things just
I
pop up.
felt like it was the cheap version of Welcome to the World. You know, it was like, oh, we can't be bothered. We'll just get a ship from China now. You're onto it. You know, you've kind of jagged that there is no world. It's just a dream and illusion. We're not going to try as hard to convince you that this is where we live and this is our goods. You know, it's like not made in China. Very, very B grade production.
Is that place you talked about? I can't think of the name of it now.
Mystery Island. Look it up. It's a name of an island off in the Pacific. Mystery. Like, it's incredible. If those people hadn't turned up, it would have been better. And all the Vanuatians all turn up, and they got hair like you too, big frizzy sort of like hair.
My peoples.
I don't know, there's some people somewhere. They used to be
everywhere.
headhunters and cannibals, apparently.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
I guess they don't like it when you remind them of that now or ask them questions about
All
it.
forgiven.
I know. That's it. You got to be forgiving. So.
I think Iceland, they have a big storytelling tradition. It's a little bit like the sort of Maori type thing or whatever, I think, isn't it? It's very, goes back and back and back. I remember having a book by Magnus Magnusson as a kid who was Icelandic. It was all about these ancient folklores and stories. I think it's full of, it's like Ireland's got lots of magic stories and stuff. There's some interesting stuff, folklore, I believe.
No wonder we're going there, Tina.
So I can finally get to tell my stories.
No, so you can
No?
teach about not telling stories and so learn
Yeah.
not to. So, doesn't matter.
I gotta learn that lesson first.
If they're helpful stories in salvation, then they'll be used for a minute, but otherwise they just fall away. They have the other night when we had people here, one of the ladies that came, one of the girls that came, God bless her, she brought me a book, The Four Agreements. Have you read that book by Don Ruiz Miguel or whatever his name is? The
Heard
Four
of it.
Agreements, kind of one of those books that you would read like early on, way before you get to the course, like the beginners kind of thing. And I've started reading it. I read it like 30 years ago. I don't even know. Maybe it wasn't out then, but I read a book similar about the Toltec traditions, which is a lot of storytelling where it's all handed down. And I'm like, man, glad to be out of this. You know, glad to be out of this kind of. And if it wasn't for Zoom meeting and stuff like that, I'd be like Barry. I'd just put the book down and, you know, strawberry fields forever. Let me take you down, because I'm going to strawberry fields. I like how they dropped the G, I think it is in there. Strawberry fields.
Nothing to get hung about.
Nothing to get strung about. All right, let's do some breath. Ready? Everyone close your eyes for a second. We'll take it where it's at. Fran, keeping you awake. That's the whole point. Take a few deep breaths. Focus. My purpose is to learn to communicate. True communication is seen in light and it is natural. Where's Bernadette? She's not here. Never mind. Bernadette's on the cusp of this. True communication is seen in light. Right? Now, that's a natural thing occurring in the mind all the time. It's the call. It's God's call to you to awaken. You're aware of it, or you wouldn't be in this Zoom meeting. There's something stirring in you, or you wouldn't be in this Zoom meeting. You wouldn't be reading A Course in Miracles. You wouldn't have any interest in spirituality at all. You're not totally aware of it because the ego is corrupting that impulse. The ego is corrupting that communication, and it's telling you that it's something else to do with the body, something else to do with the world, something else to do with consciousness, and it's not. True communication comes from outside of consciousness, from God. And yet, because God is everything, it permeates even here, but is corrupted by the ego, which is why everyone who ever becomes a medium or a channeler or whatever, they will always tell you how difficult it is or how much effort they have to put in to actually hear the message clearly. And when you first start listening, you may encounter this kind of experience of going somewhat up against the veil of consciousness in your own mind or through the veil, and you'll get this kind of like static, like in an old tube radio where you would tune in the station and you kind of hear 3 or 4 people talking over the top of each other from different channels all at once, and you can't really tell what anyone's saying. All you can hear is that there's something being said. And it's like, and you're like, what was that? And you reach for it in your consciousness. You reach for it in your mind. Like, what was that? And it automatically sets you in a kind of direction of inner listening, inner quiet, inner listening. When you are inner listening, listening within, you're not listening with your body's ears. You're listening with feeling. You're listening with the sense of being willing to receive that you can give. And you're listening with a sense of certainty because of God's promise to you. You're not listening from a sense of doubt, like you need to hear something to prove it to yourself, that there's actually a voice in you that speaks for God. You're listening because you want to be of service. If you're listening from a point of doubt, you'll never hear a thing. It's like Jesus says, miracles are performed in a total air of lack of doubt, without whatever. You know, it's like you'll see it when you believe it, not the other way around. It's the same thing with hearing. You'll hear it when you trust that, you're being called. How you hear the call can look like anything. Initially, most people feel the call as a sense of discomfort in the world, like a feeling that there's something wrong, something not right here in the world, something not quite, they can't put their finger on it. That was my experience of the world. It's like, why is the world like this? I would feel that there would be a better way. There must be something else. I would feel within myself, right? I would feel within myself. And you can call that, if you want to call it a sixth sense or whatever you can, but it's not really that. But if that helps you to understand it, then so be it. But I would feel that there was something else I was here to do. Some other kind of thing that wasn't apparent to me, but it was there in the back of my mind, underlying pretty much everything. So close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and try to feel the call. Try to get a sense of it within yourself. Here I am, Father. Allow this call to lead me. Let me be led by this, and let me listen. Your ego, that other voice, the voice that speaks for the credibility of the temporal association, is always going to want to chit-chat away there in the background and tell you there's someone at the door, or it's time for this to happen, or maybe you need a cup of tea, right? Refuse to listen to that voice. In your listening, refuse to listen to that voice. You're listening for the call for God. You're listening for God's voice. And it'll be unlike that voice in every way. When you hear it, you'll know it. Listen, breathe, feel. You've all been doing plenty of healing work. You've all been doing plenty of forgiveness work. The veil in most of you now is quite thin. Right? The belief in separation in most of you should be starting to fade away to such a degree that it can no longer prevent you from sitting in your determination to listen. The more forgiveness, the weaker the ego. The weaker the ego, the more strength you have in Christ in you to call upon the true power within you, which is of God. You got to think of yourself as an adventurer, as a crusader in service to God. Here I am, Lord, your servant, in service to mankind, which is inclusive of me. And listen, what would you have me do today? Where would you have me go? Give me the words you want me to speak and tell me who to speak them to. Yes, Anna, breathe. Step back from the conscious talking and listen. At first, when you try this, Francois, at first, when you try listening, when you make the effort to listen within, like that, you may only be successful for a few moments, maybe for a minute or two if you're lucky. You know, we're getting to the point in our lessons now where Jesus says at the end lesson, half an hour at the least. An hour, if you feel comfortable with it, spent in silent listening. We say God is, and then we cease to speak. But that listening, it's listening to something that you both already know of. It's your natural line of communication. And you're listening to something that you are remembering. It's like trying to recall a memory from the past, except this memory goes from beyond or outside of what you think the past could be. It's like it's before time and after time, before the Alpha and after the Omega, and pervading all spectrum of existence and experience outside as well as within. But of course, focusing on it within is only focusing on the error. So we meditate and we sit quietly, listen. Thank you. I just heard Ted, he said, Dave, you're doing a good job. It sounded kind of surprised. Breathe. There is no barrier to hearing God's voice. Your inability or your unwillingness to hear it is an imaginary barrier you've put there yourself. And by the power of your imagination, you can also remove it. By the power of your mind, you can also remove it and tell yourself it's not there, because there is no obstacle to truth, because truth is everything. But the illusion can be incredibly convincing because you're using the power of God mind given you as God's Son, the Christ, to make the illusion. And there's a difference between making and creating. It's like that early lesson. Imagine the clouds obscuring the light and you're pushing through the clouds. You're pushing with your listening. As you learn to listen, you push, you listen deeper, you listen with more intensity, you listen with more focus. And it's the focus. Imagine focusing your listening to the point of a pin. That's the intensity to which you need to focus. If you can imagine listening, focusing to a pinpoint, that would be it. It's easy to imagine looking at the point of a pin, trying to focus visually on the point of a pin. Now imagine trying to hone your hearing to a point of a pin and keeping it there without wandering off. Don't judge yourself for wandering off, Francois. That's natural. It happens all the time. Right? Just keep making the effort to focus. Breathe. The ego loves it when you judge yourself. It validates the ego. You just do it for a minute or two. If it's too much and you feel like you can't do it and you're getting frustrated, stop doing it. Breathe. Focus. Listen. Feel. The same feeling as when you felt something was wrong with the world. Something needs to change. Something here, but you can't put your finger on it. That same exact feeling. That little tiny still voice. The voice of reason that calls to you. The voice of purpose. There must be something I'm here to do. Focus. Breathe. Focus, friend. Focus deeper. Help me, Lord. Help me to focus. I'm trying to listen here. I come to you today to listen to your words. Help me to even do that. Of myself alone, I can do nothing. Good. Tina, push it a bit more. Focus. That's good. There's a rigid stillness. There's a good stillness in your mind. Let it drop down to the next level, Tina. Let yourself go deeper. It'll happen automatically. You just have to let go. Sometimes we're afraid to move onward because of the fear of losing the little accomplishments we've made so far, because there's a sense of comfort and reward there. But we have to let go of that also to go deeper, to go further. Trust the Holy Spirit again and again. The learning journey never ends, never stops. Until the body is done, relax, focus. Good. Fall backwards, Kev, in your breathing. Allow yourself in your consciousness to feel a sense of movement, a sense of direction. I think for you, it's going to be falling backwards and down into it, like falling back into some clouds or into something there. In the lessons, Jesus talks about going forward and up, but for me, it's always been down and back. We tend to think of our consciousness as this static kind of condition of the way things are with our thoughts and our emotions and our sense of ourself. But when we meditate, when we're truly still, there's a sense of movement, almost like a mirage, like a shimmering. I don't know how to talk about it. It's like a magnetism almost. It's like you feel like you're drawn, or there's an energy or something. You just sort of let yourself go with that. Tina, same thing. Let yourself go with it. Try to feel it like a force, like Star Wars, the force. Feel the force. If you want to think of it as an energy field, the old man used to talk about it as a tachyon field. But if you want to think about it that way, if you find that's helpful, that's great. It's been a long time since I've thought about God in the old classic of like a man in the sky kind of thing. God for me is always more of an energetic oneness, an all-pervading sense of life. And you tap into that, you feel it. Breathe. I'm one with all things. Breathe. Yes, Tina, that's good. Right there. Stay right there. Barry, that's good. Good. Francois, don't try. Put yourself in the place and stay there. Don't try to stay there. If you find it difficult, stop the practice. It's better to stop than to try and force yourself to do something. Eventually, it will become natural. Eventually, when you sit in meditative listening, it will become as if it's just part of your way. It seems unnatural at first. Look at the screen. Look at Kevin. Look at Kevin. It's natural for him. You can read his energy. You can read his aura. You can look at him and see this is a person who's comfortable sitting in the silence, sitting quietly. It probably wasn't that way for him when he started practicing when he was younger, right? Just the same as it is for you now. It's going to take certain rites of passage or certain processes that occur in your mind so that meditation just does become a natural orientation in you, right? So don't worry about it now if it seems difficult. Right? Put in the practice that you can and just allow yourself to be where you're at with things. My sense of things with you is to be more about the practice of forgiveness than meditation right now. Right? I don't know if that's true for you where you see yourself, but it seems to me that like that would be more beneficial. I don't know if I'm right about that or not. I mean, but yeah, 2 thumbs up. But still, I mean, you can still try to meditate and still put some effort in, but not trying, just put some time in practice. Breathe. My brother is not a body. I'm the Christ. Listening there, listening there. Good. Anna, focus. That's good. Focus. Breathe. In through the nose, out through the top of the head. Focus. Here I am, Lord. I'm not a body. Those last lessons that we'll get to like next week, they lead you into this silence, into the stillness, and they give you almost a mantra style, repetitive practice of an idea presented through the course, where if you wander off in your thinking during listening, you can bring yourself back to that still point through the recitation of the idea presented. And then from that idea, drop down again into stillness, drop into silence. Good. That's better, Francois. That's good. You should feel a sense of comfort and a sense of relaxation doing this, not strain or anything like that. All good. All right, well, that's it for this week. This listening is something that you should be practicing in your own, of your own direction. We only really do it in a Zoom meeting in a momentary sense to give you a direction of it or to give you an idea about it. And just because I say something doesn't mean that idea about it is accurate. For you, it might be something else. And if you do feel that it's something else, then go with what you feel. Right? There's no right or wrong or specific way. I can only tell you how it is for me. I can only give you those sorts of references. You may pick up on those references and go, oh, that sounds similar or whatever. Maybe that's this, maybe that's that. And you can try that, right? But if you feel definitely that, like, hang on a minute, inner listening for me is something totally different, then go with what you feel. You can't do it wrong. Okay. I once read part of a book, The Knee of Listening by Adidar Samaranch or whatever his name was. And it was a very big book, like it's massive book. And Adidar was very had a great vocabulary for talking and writing, and his descriptions of things are incredible. I don't know if that book's still available. And Tina, don't run out and buy another book. But there's a whole art to listening, right? But as with anything, you'll be guided from within regarding it. I can only tell you how that is for me. If that works for you, awesome. I love you forever. But if it doesn't, I want you to be honest to yourself and just feel it where it goes for you. I'm definitely not the be all end all of authority on meditative practice or any such thing like that. There's many, many ways to meditate, many practices that you can try to break through or to pierce that shell of consciousness. If you find a good one that works for you, I'd like to hear about it too. But Jesus covers quite a few in the course. So when you read the workbook lessons, you'll realize, well, and it's kind of funny. You'll be like, well, he told me to go up and forward through the clouds, and now he's telling me to say these words and do this. I wish he'd make up his mind about what he wants me to do, right? But Jesus in there is just covering a set of bases. Whereas if it doesn't work for you this way, perhaps it'll work for you that way, right? And I look at it like we all have different ray associations. We all have different vibratory frequencies. We're all the same thing eventually. Like we come to that point of being home together eventually, or awakening together. But out here in the spectrum of reassociation, I can't say who's ready for what and who, like it's just this general sense of direction that I'm pointing you towards. And it's the only one that I know because it's, pardon me, the one that works for me. Other than that, put the book down and be like Barry. Just go have an adventure and then be honest about it if you need the book again. All that sort of thing. I love having you here, Barry. It's good stuff. And I'll tell you something. I know, right? I don't know the when of this, but I know there's more for you in this. Right? There's more for you like taking a leap of faith. There's more for you like stepping up. Right? I think it was Rumi that said, I would love to see you living in better conditions. And we're not talking about your physical house, but a sense of self, So, I mean, I love having all you guys here. It's without my brothers, I'd be lost. Anna, you're doing good too. That whole thing that's going on with you, it's nearly at the end of it, or it is at the end of it. I feel it. I feel like it's done in you already. It's done. And I feel like you're actually almost excited to see if it comes around again, to see where you're at with it. And I know, right? And it's when you get that sense of excitement because you get a sense of it being done in yourself, and it's like, fuck yeah, can't wait next time. Be like, it's a fun thing. And then of course when it comes around and it is done, and the next time you don't notice it, and so you don't even really recognize whether it actually came around again or not, or whether you were kidding yourself about it. It's like it's hard to pick up because the signature of it's gone. You're like, oh, on to the next thing. All right, I love you. Peace. Be about your father's business. Tina, Iceland, 2024. Iceland. That's what you're here for. Come on, we're going. Get excited about it with me.
You're the only one excited about that. It's so funny.
Hey?
You need to do some healing around that trip, that competition thing.
It's got nothing to do with Iceland. It's got nothing to do with the Iceland. Ready? It's got everything to do with being miracle-minded. Iceland is
totally. I'm feeling miraculous right here, though. That's what I'm saying. I don't even need the trip.
That's all I'm saying. All right. I'll take your word for that.
Yeah, well,
I'm bathing in those volcanic waters already.
Yeah, there's miracles over miracles. There's many, many miracles washing over every single day. Yeah. We'll see what Iceland does.
It'll be fun. Imagine doing a Zoom from Iceland. All these guys will have to come along. They won't be able to just stay.
I'll have to win all the trips.
You got to win a ticket for everybody. You got to win. We're all going to Iceland, and we're going to like lay in those waters at the Borealis and be like, this is as close as you can get to God without a spiritual experience. Like,
oh, isn't God good? So good.
People talk about it that way, though. You know, talk about like laying or looking up on their back at the Borealis and feeling the wonder of the universe, and like feeling so small, and you know,
yeah, it is Norway. It's Norway. Yeah.
Well, wherever it is.
No, it's not beyond.
Yeah. I don't know.
So
I've never been out of my own mind.
It's all good.
Peace.
Buddy. See ya. Bye.